Alright, this in-depth look at Captain Marvel is from a review and rotation by VaderG, whose rotation and video can be found in the links below, and some slight tweaks that I made after realizing that there's still a lot of damage that can be squeezed out of Captain Marvel. So for Universal Female Day, Universal Female Hero Day, we'll be using Medusa, Singularity, and Captain Marvel. Medusa Leadership and Cosmic Power with Singularity team up for all attack and cooldown duration. I like to keep her cooldown at a default 50% anyway, just because on Universal Hero Day with no Singularity you still have max cooldown with this team here. The in-game uniform is a requirement. This will not work effectively without it. I'm sure that it can be adapted, but this video will not cover any adaptations for the Captain Marvel movie uniform. The uniform at Mythic is probably your best option here, especially if you have the synergy. The additional percentage you'll get from the synergy will always outweigh that last uniform option, however. So even if you only get to a rare uniform, or is it heroic, whatever the, right before legendary, the additional 1% with the synergy will give you 26% in total, as opposed to if you are only mythic you'll get 25. In some cases may outweigh this all attack 5th uniform option. Either way, my suggestion is still mythic and synergy. This requires CTP of Rage. I do not know how this would be effective with CTP of Energy, and we're also not going to cover any CTP of Energy alternatives. ISO set, Power of the Angry Hulk, if your attack speed is where you're lacking. If you are lacking critical damage, Overdrive would be your better bet. However, with that said, Captain Marvel does not have any passive skills or active skills that will generate critical damage other than changing her 4th gear option, or if you have to, I would advise against changing her 5th uniform option to critical damage. Anything type 4 or better is recommended, killing trash mobs faster, leading to the next wave, leading to more points. Because we're going to be utilizing every skill in her kit needs to be level 6. Even something as small as her 1 skill, and then sometimes we're canceling her 4, everything needs to be maxed out. We are going to be making sure that every skill in her kit hits, so every skill in her kit will need to hit as hard as it can. Character gear, cap your Urus where you need to. Critical damage, ignore defense, and cooldown reduction need to be maxed out. Those are your priorities. You can get away with a critical rate of 57% and an attack speed of 125.2 because of the combination of Carol Core, her passive tier 2, with Radiant Form. This Frenzy buff will give you an all attack of 18%, a speed of 4.8%, and a critical rate of 18%. And because the majority of our damage will be dealt with Radiant Form active, and the only time it will be inactive is while we are animating our tier 3 skill, we are better off shifting Uru to critical damage and relying on this buff to keep our necessary stats at maximum. Moving into the skill preview, I'll demonstrate some of the tips and tricks that I learned from analyzing Vader's rotation that actually got me scoring close to 4 million. First and foremost is Radiant Form. She's going to be on fire, and she'll have her little mask, and this is the buff we're looking for, Frenzy. And as Frenzy expires, we'll watch her mask go away and her head do a thing. Whoop! Looks like Mr. Fantastic. This is a lot of particles with Radiant Form activated. And if we notice that when I trigger her 3 skill, it ends with the tower of light coming out from the bottom of the enemies. Now if I activate that skill without radiant form, you're still going to see some particles at the end. I want to get rid of those, so I'm going to drop the resolution to very low, and we're going to activate the bomber skill with no radiant form and no particle effects, and it's a basic drop kick. Now with that in mind, you'll still see the Tower of Light with the graphics turned down. So as this approaches 1 second, there we go, you still see the Tower of Light come up. This will tell you that, if you see Frenzy up here, this will tell you that when Frenzy is activated, or when a skill is activated with at least 1 second left, it will be treated as though Radiant Form is active the entire time. The next skill that I made sure to force the secondary effect on was the 2 skill. Using the 2 skill, you can see the enemy kind of bounces around a little bit. Since there's a lot of cancellation going on, it's very possible to cancel before that secondary effect takes place. We want that enemy to quake before we move on. Easiest way to do that is to make sure you don't go into your second skill, or you make sure you don't cancel your second skill until Carol's feet hit the ground. The other change or tweak that I made was always making sure that the 1 skill let loose its little orb, its cone orb. There are instances where you're called on using the 1 skill and then canceling into 2. However, you can cancel that too early. If you do that, you leave a lot of damage on the table. If you imagine how many times you use the 1 skill over the course of an entire fight, you're probably leaving, I would say, 200,000 damage on the table. Not to mention that it has a slight AoE effect, and if enemies are in a certain proximity, it can hit things behind you and help you clear out more of those trash. So now we'll move on from here and we'll go check out the actual ABX run. I'll pinpoint some of the timing issues, and then we'll watch the whole run. So for the first rotation, we're going to start with 5 and then go straight into 2. She's going to jump up. When she lands, we go into 4. I goof on the opening rotation, but when there's 2 seconds left on 2, I should go into 1. So I get those 3 orbs to come out, go back into 2, and then when she lands, go straight into 3. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3. And now here we can see there's 1 second left on the 2 skill and 1 second left on the 4 skill. There's 6 seconds left on the Frenzy buff. We're going to start a new rotation that's going to be slightly different. So we're going to start with the 2 skill, jump and land, and then go into the 4 skill, and then when there are 2 seconds left on the Frenzy buff, go into 1, anticipate the 3 orbs, and then go into the 3 skill when there's just 1 second left on Frenzy. And we go 2, 4, 1, 3. And here's where things get a little bit different. So here we're going to cancel 3 when the 5 skill is at 3 seconds by activating the tier 3 skill. She's going to go in the air. As soon as she comes down, you hit the 5 skill and start the rotation from part 1 all over again. What this will allow you to do is stay in radiant form the entire fight. It's also going to keep you in iframes or have guard hits, and you should never get blinded. So here we activate the tier 3, hit the ground, start all over. See there, I got a good 1 skill off. And there's the 3 skill before radiant form. And that's it. So we're going to go ahead and play the whole thing now, from start to finish, and I hope this helped, and I hope to see everybody max out Captain Marvel.